Our next step is to actually modify some files. So we're going to pretend that we're programming at this point. And so ultimately, you're oftentimes going to pull down a project to your computer. You're going to work on it locally on your computer using many different types of editors potentially. And after a certain amount of time, you're going to want to take that and make a save of all the changes you've been doing. I personally save quite often. I might make a save every 30 minutes or an hour. Sometimes my saves are really small. Sometimes it's large changes. It always depends. We're going to simulate that right now with very, very minor changes. So follow along with me. In your command line, I'm currently still in my Bloom repos folder, and I'd like to move into this new folder, this new repository called orientation, by typing in cd orientation get mirmapper. This moves me directly into the orientation and lets me see what's inside those files. So right now, the only file in here is the README itself, which we're also seeing directly on the GitHub page. That's what we're walking through. And we're going to make some changes to this file. And so to do that, you're going to open up some version of a text editor for you. Now, there's lots of ways to do this. So any way you want to edit this, perfectly valid. If you are a command line person, you already have an idea of how to use Vim, you can use Vim. If you know how to use Nano, use Nano. If you want to open this up in an intelligent environment like VS Code or IntelliJ or something else, feel free to do so. But I'm going to go very, very basic right now and just pretend I'm writing my code, and I'm just going to use a regular standard text editor. And so I'm looking to use either the Mac or the Windows version of the text editor directly from my command line. And to do that, since I'm on a Mac, I'm going to type in open-e, and then type in the README. Now, README is an R. I can just type in R and hit tab, and it automatically fills in the rest of it because it's the only file that in my location that starts with an R. And if I hit enter, it'll open my text edit. If you're on a Windows machine, you would type in Notepad README, and that'll open your very generic Notepad editor. Where we open this does not matter. And if you really, really wanted to, you could open up your Finder or your Windows Explorer and move into the Bloom repos folder, move into the orientation get, and go ahead and double click the file that you want to edit. And it'll ask you which file system you want to use or whatever it is, or it might automatically open in your Notepad or text edit. Let me go ahead and enter, and I'm going to open that file. All right, so here is my file, and it was very, very small. So let me make that bigger for you. Oops. There we go. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to pretend that we're writing code, even though we're not actually writing code. You do not have to use get for coding purposes only. You could use get for modifying any file on your computer that you want to make multiple saves of so you could reload an old version. Now, this is a very trivial example, but at the moment, this checklist is what we're going to modify. So we're going to put an X in every step you've currently completed. Have you created a GitHub account? Hopefully. Have you opened your command line? Hopefully, etc. We've cloned it, and at this moment, we're about to make changes to the repository. And so I'm going to go ahead and put an X in saying, yes, I've made changes to my repository. So let's simulate that as if we were writing code or fixing code. So whatever your job is going to be, you're going to be modifying code in some way, and you're going to modify it on some local files. Doesn't matter if it's a text document, a markdown document like this particular type of file, a Java file, an HTML file. It doesn't matter what kind of file it is. All of them are going to be noticed by Git that something has changed. So I'm going to now save this. Now I can hit my Control S or Command S to save, or I can go up to the top and say File Save, depending on your system. And eventually I'm just going to leave it. So I'm going to save it, and I'm going to leave my program by closing it out. And now I'm back to my command prompt, and I have made changes to my computer. Just to make certain I know that changes actually happened, I'm going to type in get status. So get, we always start any kind of a get command with the word get, and then we say what type of command we're using. So we've currently used get clone, and we've used now get status. Get status will show me what is the status of the files it's looking at. And it's going to identify that there is one modified file in my Git repository, the README that we just modified. That means it notices something has changed. Great.